Hello and welcome again to one of our insights into the gems of the Alshich Kodesh. This week's Sedra, this week's Parshas of the Torah we're examining, those who like chapters, it's chapter 16 in Bamidbar, in Numbers, and that is the story, the enigmatic and baffling story of somebody called Korach. Now, Korach was a close relation, a cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu's, and one of the holiest and greatest Jews of all time, which makes his challenge to Moshe, his fight against Moshe, with the ultimate disastrous and tragic consequences of his own destruction, almost self-destruction, even the more puzzling. And the real question is, what drove this great man to come tumbling down from greatness to tragedy? So let's start, as we often do, by looking at the art scroll, just to get a feel of what the story's about. And let's start. So at the beginning, Vayikach Korach ben Yitzchar. So Korach was the son of Yitzchar, who in turn was the son of Kohath, so he was the grandson of somebody called Kohath, and the great grandson Ben Levi of Levi. So that's Yaakov's sons of the 12 tribes of the son of Levi, and two guys called Dosan and Abiram, Bnei Eliav, the sons of Eliav, the Oin ben Pelas, Bnei Reuven, and a fellow called Oin ben Pelas, who were all sons of Reuven. So they all gathered together. And they came Moshe, and they came in front of Moshe, Banoshim ibnei Israel, and another group of men from the Jewish people, Chamishim u'Masayim, 250 Nisi ha'Eda, princes of the various families of the Jewish people, Korei Moed and Sheshem, men of great distinction. And then they said, You've taken too much for yourselves, Moshe and Aaron, because all of the people are all holy. And that's how it begins, a challenge to the authority and to the office of Moshe as, I suppose, the king of the Jewish people, and Aaron as the high priest, the two brothers. Now, there's a phrase in America which I like very much. I think it's an American phrase, but it could certainly be a universal one, which is when you're pointing a finger at somebody, there are four fingers, with them as well, or three fingers on them, pointing back at you. It's something Maimonides famously says. If you remember those old-fashioned overhead projectors, when you dropped a little slide in, you often had a rotating little wheel thing that went round with the slides in it. You could, have family photos shining on a wall or shining on a screen. What you see out there is what's inside the machine. It's a projection of what's there. And similarly here, the Moshe's challenge to Moshe and Aaron, as we'll see in a second, is based on power. You've taken too much power. But if that's the accusation he's pointing at Moshe, there's four fingers pointing, 4 times as much, pointing back at him, because that's precisely what he wanted. What drove him to this? What was the origins of this? So for this we have to do a bit of genealogy, so it's a bit tricky. So let's just stick with the first verse. The first verse said, if you remember, Yika Korach, so somebody called Korach took, and he was Ben Yitzhar, the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kohath, Ben Levi, the son of Levi. And it doesn't tell you what he took. It doesn't tell you what he took. And all the commentators are perplexed by the, if I can say the word, clumsiness of the verse. It seems to be very badly written. Maybe I'll read it to you in English, whatever they say here. Korach, the son of, I can't say it in English, Ishazar, can't do it. Okay, I'll translate. Yika Korach ben Yitzhar, Korach the son of Yitzhar, ben Kohath, ben Levi, ben Dosan, ben Abiram, ben Eliav, ben Pelas, ben Reuven. It's just a bunch of names. And in Korach's case, his name plus his lineage, his background. They took Yika Korach. What did he take? Doesn't say what he took. So the Alshich, unsurprisingly, with utter and total brilliance, and his incisive analysis, points out, as he so often does, that it does tell you what he took. He took his lineage. He took the fact that he was the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi. But Rashi points out something else, because remember I said Levi was Yaakov's son? It doesn't say the son of Yaakov. Why doesn't it say the son of Yaakov? Why not go back to Yaakov? And that would be the completion of his lineage. And that is going to be a very crucial key to understanding what's going on. Rashi says he didn't say the son of Yaakov, because Yaakov had prayed to God that his name should not be joined in or used in the fight against Moshe Rabbeinu. So he saw prophetically this was coming. He didn't want his name to be used as a weapon. Where is his name, says Rashi? You can find it later on in the book of Chronicles, when it goes through the lineage of Korach, and it says Ben Levi, the son of Levi, the son of Yaakov. But hold on, I thought Yaakov didn't want his name associated with Korach. It's sort of like the black sheep of the family. So, but it is, later in our Bible, the Jewish Bible, his name is associated with Korach. So, which way is it? Yes or no? So this is what the Alshich says, and I think it's absolute genius. Sorry. Levi, that's Yaakov's son, had 3 sons, and their names were Gershon, he was the oldest, in chronological order, Gershon, Kahos, and Merari. Okay. Now, Kahos, that's the middle son, the second son. He has 4 sons. Amram, and that should ring a bell, because Amram is the father of Moshe and Aaron, and of course Miriam. So there's Kahos's Amram, somebody called Yitzhar, second son called Yitzhar, third son Chevron, 4th son was called Uziel. 4 sons. So Kahos, Levi, second son Kahos. Kahos has 4 sons. Oldest one Amram, second oldest Yitzhar. Amram has 2 sons, Moshe and Aaron. And Yitzhar has 3 sons, but the oldest one of them is our friend Korach. Now, if you understand that, then you understand the problem. The problem is like this, and Rashi already alludes to this, that when God says to Moses, it's time to appoint a new, or a prince, a leader, over the house of Kahos. Now it's a royal, as it were, noble household of the Jewish people. Levi's 3 sons, the house of Gershon, the house of Kahos, and the house of Merari. Who should be the leader? Who should be the prince of the house of Kahos? Now, Korach's going to think it should be him. And the reason is quite simple. He accepts, he's got no difficulty whatsoever with the fact that Amram, the oldest son of Kahos, Levi's son, that his sons should get the prestige jobs, the important positions in the Jewish people. To be the king of the Jewish people like Moshe was, or to be the high priest like Aaron was, that's pretty important. So he gets that, because they were the sons of Amram, and Amram was Kahos's oldest son. But when there's a new important job, that is the head of the prince of the family of Korach, who should get that? Who's next in line? So he says, it's me, because my father was one of 4. Amram was his big brother, so I don't mind that his 2 sons get the most important job. But my father was the second, Yitzhar, so I should get the next job. Instead, it's given to the son of the youngest son, the son of Uziel, the son of, well, right, it's ridiculous. So, sorry, Kahos' 4 sons, Uziel, and then Elitzophan, the youngest son? Doesn't make any sense. So, Amram, let's do that again. Amram, the oldest son, his sons get the 2 most important jobs. The youngest son, Uziel, his son, gets the leadership of the family. That really annoys him. But you could say, says the Alshich, that logic would dictate that maybe, why shouldn't they get the job? After all, maybe primacy, maybe important jobs are given to the oldest son. There's a whole thing in Judaism, as everybody knows. An oldest son gets a double portion. Oldest sons, Bechorim, have a very important role. Halachically, are given all sorts of privileges as a consequence of being the oldest son, which we don't have time to go into why that would be justified, or the logic behind it, or the philosophy behind it here, but let's just take that as a given. So therefore, why don't you say, or why didn't Korach say, well, that's fair enough, maybe it's only the oldest son that get a big job. So Amram, that's my father's big brother, his 2 sons, he's the oldest, his 2 sons get the most important jobs, and I'm done. There is no next in line, second son should get important jobs. That's why he took the fact he was Korach ben Yitzhar, because Yitzhar, his father, was a second son. But not only that, then it says Ben Kahos. That's my grandfather. Now Ben Kahos, he was a second son, and yet he was the most prestigious of all the 3 sons of Levi, and he getting a second job. So you can see the most important role. So you can see that being a second son is significant. And how about Levi? Levi, Yaakov's 3rd son, got the job, if you like, his family get the job of being the priests of the Jewish people and the Levites of the Jewish people. And he's not a first son, he's not even a second son, third son, so how much more so? So therefore, I should get it. But more than that. How about Yaakov himself? Yaakov has said, my name should not be associated with this fight. It's okay to be associated elsewhere, but here at this moment in time, Yaakov doesn't want his name to be associated for the very simple reason. Yaakov was a second son. Can be used, can be weaponized, can be used by Korach as so you see, Yaakov, Esau was the oldest son, and yet Yaakov got the position of greatness, the recognition by God, the role of founding the Jewish people. So you see, second sons do have priority. That was his view. That was his mistaken view, which led him to challenge Moshe. He points and says, "You've taken too much power." He wants power. He wanted to have the power of being the prince of the house of Korach, and that led him to self-destruct. So this idea of prestige because it runs in the family. So here's a beautiful idea from. I had it from Rabbi Mordechai Miller of Gateshead, and I think he was quoting Rabbi Dessler. You'll find it elsewhere. Yichus, that's lineage, noble family background, says Rabbi Dessler, is like a row of zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Nothing until you put one in front of it. You can have the greatest background in the world, but what are you? It's a question of what you made you. There was something called the Shloha Kodesh, who in the United States of America, and saying this is the 4th of July, maybe appropriate to quote that, when it was discovered, apart from all the other interesting things they discovered here, I think potatoes were discovered here. It's well worth discovering America for that. Tobacco. Turkeys. There had never been turkeys before anywhere else in the world. Well, never were turkeys anywhere else in the world. And the question was, are they kosher? They seem to conform to all the requirements of a kosher bird, but we had no tradition. All the rabbinic authority said it's okay, except something called the Shloha Kodesh. To this day, the Shloha Kodesh has direct descendants in South Africa who will not, as a family tradition, eat turkey. Pork, bacon, crab, and lobster, yes. Turkey, no. Now they have the yichus, all those circles going all the way back, linking, but it goes nowhere. It says nothing. You add up all those nothings, it comes to nothing until you put one in front of it. So Korach had the yichus, he had the lineage, but he didn't put one in front of it. In fact, the one got distorted, went off at a tangent, and eventually turned around and collapsed. So, whatever your background is, and we're going to see this actually just very shortly, as we read on, because very shortly after this we're going to come to Korach, and eventually we're going to come to Pinchas. And Pinchas is somebody whose background was, again, not too good. He didn't go to the most elite schools, didn't have the most elite background, descendant of Yisro. And yet he becomes one of the very, very greatest of all of the Jewish people, because it all really depends on you. Who you are, who you make yourself, not where you came from, not the privilege you believed yourself to have, the privilege you earned by your choices. That's a brilliant insight over the Alshich. Why wasn't that Yaakov didn't want his name associated then? Because it could be weaponized and give Korach the mistaken belief that he had a right to claim something just because, as they say in Yiddish, it kommt mir. I deserve it. No. You only deserve it from God if you've earned it from God. And you earn it from God by your choices and making yourself great. Wish you all a good Shabbos.